Hello, beautiful moms and entrepreneurs. My name is Charisse Walker, and I'm your host of the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Unbreakable Mompreneurs. Today I'm with Yahne Sneed, and we're so excited to have her. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are?
Yeah, so I am a mom of two. I came from an interesting background. So I start off with saying I'm a mom because it took a while for me to develop the confidence to actually continue on my life to be a mom. So I'm really grateful for that. So I start off by saying that. And how I got here was just basically going through a lot in my childhood. I had a lot of childhood trauma. My mom emotionally and mentally abused me, and my dad sexually abused me. I didn't really have a lot of friends. So, needless to say, I was a very aggressive child in my childhood. So, I had a lot of things going against me. And, I kept on trying to find my purpose and meaning through all the obstacles that I was going through, with, especially at school. I didn't really stay in school, one school for long. Is either I stayed there for a year and I transfer out, or the max I was staying to a school was 2 years. So I didn't really have friends. So it really put a lot on me to move through my life by myself, really lonely. So I was questioning my identity a lot. And when I got to high school, I went to this mentorship program where I started advocating for myself and finding a voice, building my confidence and self esteem up. To me, in return, start mentoring others that went through the same program. That's when I found my voice and my purpose. And I found it not through the happiness of helping others, but through the pain. I used my life experiences and the things that I've been through to help others. And that's where I started finding where I belong. I started finding my belonging, is what I say, into how I can make sense of what I've been through in my life. I was told by my stepdad that I wasn't going to amount to anything, graduate high school or college. Well, I graduated college with a bachelor's in social work with a 3.0. So I have done a lot to overcome most of my obstacles and naysayers and the ones that supposed to support me and love me and build me up. I told them wrong. I've been through a lot. So to have two daughters to come full circle that I really wasn't going to make it sometime. I was thinking suicide a lot. So to have two daughters and can help them and give them what I didn't have. That's why I start off with to say that my mom, because it's full circle for me to give back in a way that I wasn't, and to see how I can foster and give back to the community in that way. Also, helping out with with my business because it was a long road for me to get here. I wasn't even going to graduate college either. I was going to be a dropout. So to have that resilience and determination to keep moving forward means a lot, especially when I can share that with my kids.
Yeah, nope, I totally agree with you. You're the best example for your kids, and so congratulations. What do you think got you? Because obviously you endured things that most people could probably not even imagine, right? And having to deal with the pain, the guilt, the feelings, the emotions of all of that. And then for people, especially somebody you trust and love who gave birth to you, that um, it's not okay. And it wasn't your fault. And so how did you work through that to be able to then go and, as you said, graduate college?
So it took me 7 years to speak up on what happened to
Wow.
me. So during that whole time, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame, because like I said, I didn't really have friends, so I was mostly bullied. So and very misunderstood. So when I looked on the outside of parents, it seemed like everybody had it together, everyone that was around me, because I was so belittled. And it made me ashamed of anything that I was going through because I feel like I was the only one going through it because everybody else looked like they had a perfect life. So 7 years of feeling ashamed about a situation. And it wasn't until I started going into college and actually being situated around friends and gaining friends, and really talking to others where I started feeling more comfortable with what I went through and not feel ashamed. And when I started in college, I went to therapy and it kind of brought it out of me again. We went to my childhood and it kind of brought that part out of me. And I started, it was during the time where statute of limitations was up. So during this time and me bringing it up to my therapist, I had to question what I'm going to do with this information. And this was college for me was during a part of my state of enlightenment. I was transitioning to the spirituality realm, just trying to get better footing on, loving me more. So during this whole time, I started questioning, do I want to speak up once and for all? Do I want to let this go and let the time run out and still hold this, over my own head? So I eventually did it right on time, the 7 year mark. I eventually did it. I spoke up about it. It didn't turn out the way I envisioned it to turn out when it comes to family support. That was hard. I lost a lot of family members. And I say family members because I was born into connecting with these individuals. So they wasn't someone that had to fulfill being an auntie or uncle role. So they disowned me for the most part because of the me speaking up against their brother or their cousin. So I lost a lot of individuals like that, including a brother of mine disowned me. So it wasn't tough at all speaking up, but I felt for me that was the right thing to do, and I don't regret it at all.
Nor should
I'm
you.
at a stage where I'm at a stage where I personally say that I don't really believe in titles, because that whole experience proved to me that titles don't mean anything if you're not trying to fulfill that position with intent and love. And I didn't get that. So I don't really believe in titles, but I do have individuals or humans that I call them humans that are around me that I love and I call them family because of what family means to me. So I started developing my own crew. I didn't have to really dwell on those that I lost because if they was there for me for a reason, I was trying to believe this wouldn't have, stopped it. So I had to believe that everything's gonna be okay at the end of it all. Because it wasn't in the beginning nor during or the end of it, but it eventually got better. I still had individuals who was with me from the beginning there. So I had to really speak up and I had to be determined that it was going to be okay. And I also watched Law and Order SVU as well, how some of them that did speak up, how they regret it. I know that was TV, but part of me thought that was real. And I was like, I don't want to be one of those regret. I never regretted anything in my life. And I didn't see, you know, why now I would regret anything, especially when I know at the end it's for my benefit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've been in nothing like your situation, but I did have issues happen as a kid. And, you know, for me, I repressed it gratefully until later, which then it affected me. So I can't imagine having to deal with that. And I think, and then having family members or friends that were close to you that you lost because they're looking at you, a child who is totally innocent, and they're probably saying, "Oh, you're just trying to get attention, or you're mad at them, or," right? And yet the adult in the situation is the one that's being protected. It's just I can't even go
Yeah,
there. It's another topic, but I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry that that's happened. However, you turned it into a positive because you're speaking out, and so you're able to reach people who are also probably feeling and have been through what you've been through. And so you've turned this negative into a positive. So I commend you. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, and I want to say as well that because I spoke out, he did go behind bars. So
Oh, good.
it wasn't as if it wasn't for nothing, and even if it was, I still feel as though I spoke up for myself. No one was there to speak up for me, but I had the courage to do it and look him in the face and say that he did it. So even if he didn't, I still wouldn't regret it. But yeah, I did have a lot of family members that called me promiscuous. If I pursued this whole situation, so it was very negative. When it came to everyone supporting me or not supporting me, but I still won't regret it. I don't regret it.
Well, and I think that that's the message that our listeners need to take is that you have to be true to yourself. And if you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, how would I feel if? Because you might not have been his only victim, right? And so he might have continued to perpetuate and continue and continue. And so there's other people. So you stopped him, you took charge and you took control of your life. You didn't let, I think, would you agree that sometimes we are raised that we're supposed to be obedient? We're supposed to be compliant. We're supposed to, do these things that and give of ourselves because that is good, right? It's good to give, but
Yeah.
if you're giving so much that you're robbing from who your true self, then that's a problem. There's a line that you need to figure out.
Yeah, I don't really like the word obedient because it just means do as I say.
Exactly.
And sometimes you do have to question a lot of what someone says, especially when you're trying to look for them for advice. Not everyone gives the best advice or the best wisdom, especially based on how they perceive the world, how they was raised in their doctrine. So we definitely have to question everything someone says to us, even if we feel as though they're the ones that we go to for advice. We still have a question everyone because everyone may not have the best. They have the best intentions, but it comes off not the best way. You know.
And it's okay to not be obedient. That's my point, is
Yeah,
that
it's
it's okay
okay.
to
It's
speak up
okay.
and you have to do
Yeah.
what's best for you, not, oh, I
Yeah.
don't want to hurt this person's feelings. Oh, I don't.
No.
No, that's not how it works.
No.
I was talking with someone
Yeah.
yesterday. She showed me a picture of her as a kid. She had these like tons of stitches in her nose, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? She goes, oh, my aunt's dog bit me. I'm like, well, what happened to the dog? Oh, it's still alive. What? And I'm not saying take care of the dog, but what I'm saying, I go, well, what happened with the aunt? What happened? And she goes, oh, she said she's sorry. That's it. She has a scar across her face for the rest of her life. And I said, well, what did your parents do? Because it's sisters, right? Oh, they
Yeah.
just said it's okay. What?
It's not good
And
enough.
she goes, well, because that's really the only thing that she has. She loves the dog. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But when my point of the story is like, you have to take care of yourself and you have to be
Yeah.
concerned about yourself, and hurting somebody else's feelings when it's not your fault is not okay. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah. I definitely agree. You have to be able to live with yourself at the end of the night. If you can lay down on your pillow and say every choice I made, I
mhm.
feel good about it, then all right. Then that's the way to go about doing that. But definitely be self-aware. You first. You can't help nobody else.
Yeah,
Take care of you first and how you feel because you have to live with it. You have to live with it.
I say I think of it as a 5 gallon bucket. You got to fill your bucket, and if there's a hole in the bottom of the bucket and the water keeps pouring out, there's nothing left to give. So you have to make sure that you can take care of yourself. Okay, so you turned the negative into the positive. You graduated from college. You are a social worker. So now what are you doing?
So before I graduated, let me just backtrack. It was my fourth year. I think it was 5 years. I was going to drop out. So when I was in my dorm, I was reading. I forgot what I was reading, but I'm not really good in comprehension. But I have to read 4 or 5 different times in the same paragraph, and it takes hours on hours for me just to understand something. In college, you're kind of hands off with materials. So here you go. These are the chapters to read. Here's a test next week, X, Y, and Z, and you're on your own. So it's just literal me in my dorm, just trying to comprehend this stuff because there's no one to really, like I said, hold your hand. So I got overwhelmed. I started crying, but then I heard a voice. This voice was like, "You're doing it." So I got quiet, and I was like, "Wait, what?" I'm doing it. And then that's when I had this little euphoria. And I was like, wait a minute, I am doing it. So from that point forward, I started. It's funny. I look back. I say this story all the time. It's like I look at that moment and I was like, it really dawned on me, like everything that I've been through, finishing high school, going to college, focusing on the court with when it came to I call him my sperm donor, fighting these odds that was not good enough. I am doing it. So from that point forward, it kind of kick-started um me to really be like kind of like a baddie when it came to like how I saw myself. Like it built my confidence up. And then when I graduated and he went to jail, then it really was like confirmation for me to really do and take hold of life once I graduate. However, to answer your question, it wasn't that simple for me. I was still internally grappling with a lot of internal things that I didn't get out with therapy. Um, and I had to, although I knew I was doing it and I was getting those confidence up and boosting myself up, saying that I can do this and do that. Now it's really putting the money to the metal. You know what I mean? It's really now, okay, you believe it. Now
Yeah.
all of a sudden you graduate. Now you what you're gonna do about it. I didn't have that foundation. my mom, my mom only taught me up to graduate college. That's what my mom taught me up to. She gave me two options before I even started college. She was like, either you're gonna go to the military, or you're gonna go to college. So
Wow.
during her time, it was graduate high school, get a degree, go to college. Now it's my time. She doesn't know anything up until college. So here is little me gotta now only deal with what do I do now? You know what I mean? On top of dealing with my own
Mhm.
mental issues that I had going on, the challenges I had going on. So after that, my degree served me to get a great job in my field in social work. But, several of them up until I would say the pandemic happened, um, I was doing well. And then my daughter came the same year, 2015. I was doing financially well, but internally I was not. I'll be honest, it was still dark things that was still getting to me. I didn't really solve a lot of my childhood traumas. I'm just at the peak of getting closing one book with him going to jail. Here I got to do, with a child, a whole lot of loads with that. Um, Still had a lot of family issues going on because I am the first to get out of the hole of my family, the first to everything, really. The
Congratulations.
first great grandchild, the first to graduate college, the first to get a degree, like to really get out of everything. I'm the first of everything. So seeing me at my peak, it was great, but I didn't really know how to manage any of that. I didn't. I had the financials. I was doing it. Had my own place. Everything was great. First shot, everything was great, but I still had insecurities. I still had identity issues. Social work for me was not doing it for me. I didn't even know when I was in college. I didn't even know what to do a degree. Honestly, all I knew was I wanted to help people. That's all I knew. I knew from a young age because I went to this mentorship program. I knew talking to others about what they're going through and talking to them, let them know they have someone, have a friend that been through it too, and then they got to the other side. That's all I knew. I was good at was helping them through that. I didn't know anything about, life coaching, my business now. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew was the closest way to get to helping others is social work or psychology. I was like, I'd rather do social work. So it didn't feel right. I didn't find my purpose at all. In that it gave me a glimmer of what it looks like when I actually had those one-on-ones in conversation with the client or consumer or customer, but it didn't do what I wanted to be served. Like I was really looking for my purpose, and it might sound cliche, but I really did know since I was little that everything that I was going through was for a reason. I really did know that. I really, really did personally deep down know that. And I see the fruit of it now, but I was like, social work wasn't it. But, you know, that's what I was doing for that whole time up until the pandemic. And then I lost my job.
Mm. Okay. And I commend you that you admit that we all go through things, and the fact that you realized or you feel that it was for reasons so you could help other people. I feel like we live similar lives because my dad came to college on a work trip. He came to visit me while I was at college, and he's like, "What are you going to do with your life?" I was a freshman in college. I'm like, "I don't know." He literally, and this is, a long time ago. It wasn't where everything's digital now. So he got the school catalog. We ate we call it the Wilkinson Center. And he proceeded to go through each program that BYU offered, right? And he's like, okay, so does this sound interesting? And he'd literally read the description of the degree. And I'm like, no. He'd read the next one. No. And so he stuck to sociology. And I'm like, yes. And that was because I wanted to help people. And so, but your life goes in so many different ways, right? And so the pandemic comes, you're out of a job, and then what happens?
Oh, Lord. So it was a struggle for a good while. That's for about maybe 2019 or something like that. The pandemic started to happen. So it was a bit of a struggle for a good while. Um, yeah, so then I found out that I was pregnant.
Lots of babies during that time. That's true.
uh, I found out that I was pregnant, and I'm like, wow. what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I didn't know what I was gonna do. Honestly. Um Pregnant, not working. It was a mess. It was a mess. And then fast forward to 2022. Um I decided the top of the year, I was like, I got to do something to make a difference. I got to do something because I'm in this rut
Mhm.
and I'm not sure exactly how I'm gonna get out of this rut because I couldn't do a 9 to 5. Although I did them throughout whatever because my degree did serve me a purpose. But I I personally couldn't do that. Wasn't my passion doing 9 to 5. I really was really wanted to help. So 2022 happens, and I'm like, okay, how can I really do what I really wanted to do? So I was like, well, I see on Facebook and everybody just starting these businesses out of nowhere because of the pandemic. And so I got an idea. I was like, well, if everybody just starting these businesses up, let me just start one up and just see how it will work. It took a lot. I didn't realize how much it took to start this business up. So about trial and error, I finally got it to where it's at now, which is really great, which is a life coaching business. Um, but the beginning was pretty tough. Because I'm trying to get the business up and running and have a child without really having that much financial security. So it was pretty crazy during that time. But I look back at that time now and I'm like, I wouldn't change it because I learned so much. It was heavy. Let me not say it was light and it was fluffy. It was heavy. I had really barely no any money. Another child come in and I lost my job because of the pandemic. It was heavy, okay, but I do not regret it at all. I don't regret it all because I learned so much. I learned what not to do. Now that the pandemic ends and there's finances coming in and everything, I know now the second time around because I did have to stop it for a while. Kind of, you need money to keep the business flow, but now that it's up and running now, what I knew when I was going through the trial and error during that time built me to be now a better entrepreneur. And that is a great thing now, especially when I can look back on it and say, I learned a lot, but it was tough.
Okay, so give me two lessons you've learned that, starting out. What are two things that you're like, oh, I wish I would have known that now, or I'm
When it
glad I
comes to
did.
the business,
What?
when it comes to the business,
Yep.
the first part is know your target audience. That is your first part. I came in, like I said, with the idea I am just going to help. Like that's all I came in with. But knowing your target audience, and the reason why I say you know your target audience because you have to advertise to a specific group of individuals. You can't go into like a McDonald's and they serve oxtails and fried chicken. Like there's a certain menu that they will attract McDonald's attract, and well, the audience McDonald's attract versus going to Burger King. So when you advertise, knowing who you advertise towards is very important. So target audience is very important. And then also consistency. Not consistency just I'm just gonna put out a video and I'm gonna put out something or I'm just gonna meet this client this morning, not really have effort. No, intentional consistency as well, because that's what they're gonna be relying on. And I found that to be very important. Because on the other side of what I do here, I also write. I'm also an author, and I have audience there. That's like, when your next book is come out. It's taking too long, and it's like I see that if I'm consistent throughout my
Mhm.
whole portfolio, what I do, they rely more. They're more reliant on depending on you for whatever they need in the podcast or keynote speaking or my book. So those are two things: knowing your target audience so you can advertise the right way, and then consistency.
I agree with that because, you're in the mall, it's a busy mall, and you're like, hey, you, who's going to turn around? Really? But if they say,
Exactly.
Johnny, you're going to turn around, right?
Yeah.
You have to think of yourself
Exactly.
as a business owner where you're in the crowded audience or crowded mall, which they're not crowded anymore, but just go with it. And
Yeah.
you got to call somebody by name because that's your niche or your
Yeah.
avatar. And, I've heard
Yeah.
some people, we talk about how you have to give that person a name, right? So sometimes they'll even
Yeah.
have it posted up on the wall. This is Sally Sue, and Sally Sue likes XYZ
Yeah.
WP, and this is how she dresses. This is what she does, on her off time. So you
Yeah.
really have to know who your audience is. I love that. And I totally agree with you on that. Okay. Well, anything that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so like I said, I have a podcast coming out next month sometime. By the end of the month, hopefully by May, it's gonna be coming out. Definitely by May, it's gonna be coming out. It's called Relentless Phoenix Podcast. It's after my business, Relentless Phoenix. It's gonna be on YouTube. If you want to know more information about it, you can definitely go to my webpage, which is YahneSneed.com. That's YAHNESNEED.com, or my social media handles, which is Facebook. It is Phoenix by Yahne Sneed. Instagram and TikTok is Relentless Phoenix 00. The 00 is for always beginning, never ending.
Love that.
That's what you can follow me at.
That's fantastic. All right. Okay, one last question. If you're on the park bench with your 18-year-old self, which wasn't too long ago, I know, but what advice would you give your younger Yahne?
Oh Lord, 18. Usually I get the question, well, to my 5-year-old, but the 18-year-old, my God. Whew, my gosh. This is the start of high school going into college. I was struggling a lot, still trying to find my way. My 18-year-old self, I'm gonna have to give my 18-year-old self a hug first.
Mhm.
um, Pat her on her back real quick. Let her know that she's strong, first off, and let her know that she's smart and that she don't need the outside world to fulfill the void she felt every day. And I would definitely let her know that every power that she's looking for to build herself up is within herself, and she's gonna make it. And she just gotta keep pushing and fighting.
That's fantastic. Gives me
Yeah.
goosebumps. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You are inspiring, and I commend you for what you've been able to do, because some people they become a victim to circumstance instead of a victor, and you've definitely become a victor and a champion.
Yeah.
So congratulations. I'm excited to see what future things will happen for you as well. So if
Thank
you'd
you. I
like
appreciate it.
further information about Yahne, we will have the details posted in the links below. So thank you so much for being on, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you.